Okay, welcome back. Link to the Past, Ganon's Tower. After this, all that remains is the boss battle, the final boss battle against Ganon. We'll do that in a separate vid just because I would hate to beat Ganon's Tower and then die on Ganon and have the whole video go to waste. So, we'll do that, and I was thinking maybe in the future a separate video where we just go around. If I feel like it, I'll just go around and collect all the heart pieces, and the only items I didn't collect, I didn't get any of the heart pieces, and I didn't get the Cane of Brenna. I also didn't do any bomb or arrow upgrades, so just some possible ideas for the future. And one other thing I wanted to discuss before getting to the main discussion. In my last one, I was talking about why the upcoming retirement of Saturday Night Live and, possibly after the 50th season, and how the cast really hasn't been that good since about 2004 when they had Horatio Sands and Rachel Dratch. How could I forget to mention that Kel Williams has been absolutely awful on Saturday Night Live? He's terrible at impressions. He did a Bill Cosby impression and a Don King impression, both of which were unbearably bad. It's funny, every comedian should have a Bill Cosby impression. He has one, and it's the worst Bill Cosby impression I've ever seen. Somehow, Kel Williams has been on the show for like 20 years or something like that. You think they would have gotten rid of him. He is the unfunniest, worst comedian. But I digress. Enough about that. We're going to go ahead and select our file. The real thing to talk about is I really miss James and Mike Mondays. It's been 3, maybe 4 years now. I think they ended in 2020. It's been about 4 years since they went on hiatus, only to never return. And if you were paying attention, you could pretty much see the writing on the wall. They were doing this part, by the way, always reminds me of when the sages build the bridge. Mario. In Ocarina of Time. This is kind of like there are a lot of similarities between A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. But I will first, be fair and give credit. James and Mike Mondays was on just about, I think, every Monday or maybe every Monday for, I think, 8 years. They did a lot of great games. They gave us a lot of great content. Nothing but good memories. So, and they also discussed a lot of great games. So, I don't want to, make it sound like it was all bad. It wasn't. But there was a point where it started getting bad, where maybe, I don't know, maybe they weren't getting along, but James was clearly getting burned out. Oh, we're gonna have to watch out for the, what's it called? The Dungeon Master or Dungeon Crawler? But I remember there were some episodes like Gunsmoke, Goonies 2, where James was grumpy, just not in the mood. If you go back and rewatch those episodes, I've been on a James and Mike Mondays kick. What I've been doing is, I've had a little extra time this summer, so I've been playing some retro games. And, when I'm not recording myself playing retro games, I will... I'll have it on in, I'll have the playlist in chronological order on in the background. So basically I'm listening to I'm gonna have to start that over. So basically, I'm listening to them in the background while I play, and it is kind of fun that like no one's, as far as I know, done like a they've done all kinds of retrospectives on James. That's gonna cost me. Oh, just made it. But they haven't really done one on James and Mike Mondays. So I thought I'd take a stab at it. Talk about what I liked, what I didn't like. But I can still remember the first time. I think I caught it. I started catching the show very early, maybe only like 3 or 4 episodes in, and it was so exciting. Finally we have James and Mike, for better or for worse, talking off the cuff about games that probably normally wouldn't otherwise be discussed. And it was exciting. I can remember thinking only a few episodes in, oh, I can't wait till they do Super Metroid. They've got to get to that eventually. Or Super Mario Brothers 3, or, Super Castlevania. I guess we'll start, like I said, I think they pretty much got all the games. There's a couple that I think they left on the table. Like, they only did one of the NES Mega Man games. They did Mega Man 2 on the NES. Really would have liked to have seen them do at least one more. They didn't do Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time, but I think they didn't do that for the simple fact that those games very likely would have been hit with a copy strike, thanks to, I'm gonna have to come back. The music of, Koji Kondo, and, what I know Nintendo's been, really bad about copy striking videos, YouTubers playing Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, which is too bad because those two games would have been perfect for James and Mike Mondays. This is where I really wish I had the cane. Also, I think the other, let's see, they never did Castlevania 3, unfortunately. But I think, in my opinion, the biggest missed opportunity was Contra 3, The Alien Wars, because, they've done, some of their best episodes, Contra, Super C, where they played it unedited, incredibly fun. But James hasn't really talked much about Contra 3, The Alien Wars. I know since then Mike's beaten it. There was those great episodes where they brought in... they actually brought in Kyle on one episode. I think they were doing Gex on the 3DO Panasonic. So it was nice to see Kyle getting in on an episode. But who could forget the episodes with Bootsy. It was almost like they brought him in as a ringer to play some of the toughest games. Bootsy did... He did Battletoads, he did Silver Surfer, and he did Back to the Future 3. Those are some of their best episodes where Bootsy came in to really beat the hardest games. They did some odd ones for sure. One in particularly that... Let's see, can I blow up one of these? The one where they did, I think, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out wearing boxing gloves. You know, I think it comes as no surprise that the best episodes were the ones where they were doing games that they were intimately familiar with, were very much in their wheelhouse. You know, A Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2. Super Metroid. I think I went the wrong way. Yeah, I don't even have the big key yet. Yeah, I don't think I can do this puzzle yet. Let's see. I have the compass, but no map. If I had to pick a favorite episode, it's going to be kind of a surprise. But I would pick... It's actually the bonus episode, the Star Fox episode, where James goes on an epic rant against iTunes, and then they have a problem where the I think there's a power surge. They're playing at Mike's place, and there's a power surge, and it resets the game on them, and it's fairly late in the game, and you know, they get kind of mad, but James, you know, is a good sport about it. He says he got all his anger out, you know, with the iTunes rant. Alright, there's the big key. Now we can get the red tunic. Unfortunately, we've already got the mirror shield, and Link looks... You can't... The mirror shield takes up so much of the Link sprite, it looks terrible. Now, the most heartbreaking moment of James and Mike Monday, I can remember thinking, when are they going to do Super Mario Bros. 3? You know, it seemed inevitable because, you know, obviously that's a game that they're very familiar with. That's a game that, you know, I would have loved to have listened to them talk about and play. And they did not do Super Mario Bros. 3. What happened was, I think we're just going to go... use the mirror to get all the way back. So let's try the door on the left. When they did finally do Super Mario Bros. 3, it was too late. They were doing that thing where they played the game at the same time from different locations. I guess Super Mario Bros. 3, by the way, you know, it goes without saying, Super Mario Bros. 3, hands down the best game on the NES. One of the absolute greatest games ever made. And I guess it just goes without saying that maybe that game, I hate to use the word cursed, but, you know, it got, in my opinion, one of the weakest AVGN episodes. You know, where they don't really talk that much about the game itself. And then on James and Mike Monday, it got a poor treatment as well. So, you know, Cinemassacre just... They should probably just leave Super Mario Bros. 3 alone at this point. But for me, that's one game that I really wish they had done, you know, the proper format. One of the things that made James and Mike Monday so great is that, you know, especially... Okay, there we finally got the map. Especially when they were doing games that they were intimately familiar with, it came across as very genuine because, you know, they would be telling stories about their experience with the game as kids, and, you know, that's what nostalgia is all about. It's reminding you about the game, you know, where you were in your life when you played it. Many of us were kids when we played games like Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Castlevania 4 or whatever, so, you know, hearing James and Mike talk about their childhood experiences, you know, it just really brings you back. In particular, I do remember, you know, James... I remember Mike telling a story about getting into a fight with... Or, excuse me, James was telling a story about getting into a fight with one of his... Let's see, can I push one of these blocks? There it is. James told a story about getting into a fight with his sister while playing Star Fox. That, you know, reminds me of... You know, who didn't get into a fight over something completely insignificant while playing an old game? Or, in A Link to the Past, there's a great moment where James just, for whatever reason, him and Mike just cannot come to any sort of agreement about Agnem and Ganon. So it makes for a really interesting and strange conversation between the two of them. I wouldn't call it a fight per se, but you definitely get the sense that James is exhausting him. Alright, gotta find which route to take here. Okay, I think this is the one. I think it just takes me back to that area that I couldn't previously access. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that's where I want to be, so... I know I missed at least one locked door. just connects the dungeons. They also had some interesting guests on. Ryan was a guest, not surprisingly. Alpha Omegason, one of the lamest, quote-unquote, content creators on YouTube. I don't think he even makes content anymore. I think he stopped years ago. All he did was, you know, kind of those silly, like, you know, rants against pop culture channels. They did at least one video with him that I remember of. They did one with Kieran. At least one. I know they did Resident Evil 2 with Kieran, and that one... You know, I understand why they did it. Kieran actually understood Resident Evil 2, which is one of my favorite games, and that's a game that if you don't know what you're doing, there's no point in trying to do a Let's Play video on. It was totally out of James and Mike's wheelhouse, so it makes sense that they brought Kieran on for that one. Scott the Woz made an appearance. And then, in my opinion, some of the very worst episodes were the ones where Doug Walker was the guest. Oh, it's these guys. I believe the 2 episodes with Doug Walker, at least 2 episodes. One was Battletoads and Battle Maniacs. The other was TMNT3, you know, Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. And what a disappointment that those would be the 2 episodes that Doug would come in on. It would have been so much fun to watch James and Mike play Turtles 3 and to listen to James talk about, you know, Turtles 3 and Dirtbag and what was the other one? There was a couple of bosses in Ninja Turtles 3 that only appeared in the primetime special. James talked about it quite a bit. I know Dirtbag, Groundchuck. It was Dirtbag and Groundchuck. And not to mention, just, I am not a fan at all of Doug Walker's content, so it was a match made in hell. I can remember seeing, you know, Doug, as soon as I see Doug Walker on the James and Mike Monday, I can still remember, you know, I was like, oh, forget it, I'm not, back when it was brand new, I was like, oh, forget it, I'm not, you lost me. Okay, we're gonna refight Twin Mold, but with the gold sword, it should only take a couple of strikes. So, what if they brought back James and Mike Monday? it probably wouldn't be the same anymore. It's not impossible for the show to come back. I just don't know if they'd actually do it. And even if they did, I don't know that it would be the same. I feel like kind of, you know, once the time has passed. But it was great. It was weekly content. It was, you know, I think it was originally looked at as filler to hold fans over until the next nerd episode. Okay, do we have to do the, oof, this one. This one's tough. Okay, so get the one on the right first. Got it. How does everybody else feel, though? Do you miss James and Mike Mondays? What are some of your favorite moments? Yeah, watch them do Ghouls and Ghosts or Batman. There is, of course, the extremely weird episode where they do, and I believe it's the channel Tartuffe the Spry Wonder Dog has it uploaded, but it is not on the Cinemassacre channel. The famous and very meme-worthy episode where they they did Star Wars Connect on the Xbox 360, the dancing, the one where they do all those silly dances to those cheesy Star Wars songs. And it still surprises me. James was a good sport about it. I'm surprised James did not say right then and there, there's no way in hell we're doing this on James and Mike Mondays. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mike, I can't do it. But to his credit, he did do it. Okay, as long as I don't have to do the puzzle again. I don't think there's anything else down here. Just Wizrobes, Death Fairy. And yes, if you fall here, you have to refight that. Refight the, I can't remember his name. And of course, I will briefly mention the famous 540 incident, or James falling asleep during one of the videos. Who knows what was going on? It's great for the memes, but ultimately it's, you know, totally silly. So anyway, that's it for Ganon's Tower. Now all that's left is fight Ganon himself. We'll do that in the last vid, just because we're gonna... maybe I'll have something to talk about during the end credits. And, you know, I looked back. I've already taken out Super Mario World. And, you know, this will be the end of A Link to the Past. That just leaves me to finish up my Super Metroid vid, and then that's like the big three on the SNES. And I gotta be honest, I'm running out of games on the SNES Mini. It only had like 19 games. And some of them I'm not gonna do on this channel because they're not worth doing, but kind of disappointing because unlike the NES, once I run out of games to do on the SNES Mini, because I don't have a modded HDMI SNES, I can't do footage of it. I would like to, because I just played through Pitfall: The Mind Adventure, plus there's a bunch of other Super Nintendo games I would love to do. So maybe that's in the future, but for the, you know, short term, you know, the next year or so, I won't have that many more SNES games to do, and that kind of bums me out. So anyway, next time we will finish off Ganon, and that'll be that. And we can move on and start thinking about knocking out Super Metroid. Alright, so thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again real soon.